He mihi nui ki te whare paramata. To the Minister of Energy, does he stand by his statement, "I have made it clear that the government has no intention of mining high-value conservation land"?
The Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, yes. In relation to the Coromandel, the government is proposing releasing 2,574 hectares, 3.7% of public conservation land on the peninsula, because in those nominated areas we assessed that the mineral value could outweigh the conservation value. The actual area of land affected would be considerably less than 2,500 hectares.
Catherine Delahunty.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. Does he agree that the Parakiwai and Otahu reserves on the Coromandel, which include critically endangered species, have high conservation values?
The Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, what I can tell the House is that, regardless of what I think, those 7 locations on the Coromandel are in the document because they were agreed by the 2 departments that came up with the for inclusion. On that basis, they are out for public consultation, and these matters clearly will come to the fore.
Supplementary.
Honourable David.
Energy and Resources managed to convince the Minister of Conservation that the conservation areas in the Coromandel to be removed from Schedule 4 are not high-value conservation land.
Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, I suspect when the Minister of Conservation read some of the reports on the areas that included statements about the weed population, about the noxious weed population polluting some of that area, the conclusion might have been reached that the advice that these were suitable for removal from Schedule 4 was accepted.
Jonathan Young.
My question to the Minister, has the Minister seen any reports that advocate balancing economic concerns with conservation concerns?
Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, yes. The member may be interested to know that the Green Party co-leader advocates just that as a policy. And as was used by the Prime Minister before, I want to suggest that the comment made by Ms Turia is a perfect example of where we should be going. She said, this case clearly shows that it's possible to balance the economic concerns of miners and the conservation concerns of protecting endangered species in such a way that all parties are happy. Mr Speaker, that indicates that the acceptance in this House that the 2 competing goals of environmental sensitivity and economic development can be complementary.
Catherine Delahunty.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Energy, how is mining kiwi habitat on the Coromandel in the national interest?
Honourable Drew Bromley.
Mr Speaker, I think that the member needs to read the whole document and make a submission on it, because quite clearly, oh, she's not going to make a submission. Well, that's probably what will happen. There'll just be a whole lot of political tub thumping and then nothing of any great substance.
Point of order.
Mr Speaker.
Point of order has been
Mr Speaker, the member asking the question asked a pretty simple question, how a particular proposal was in the national interest. And in response, all she got was told to go and read some document, and then got accused of political bluster while we were being subjected to quite an example of it.
The member's saying to depart a little from... He may recollect that the Minister responded to some interjections from the member's own party, which ministers are perfectly entitled to do. And if the member does go back to the supplementary question asked, a question like that's going to get any range of answers. How can a minister do something? The answer could just be easily. But the Minister was actually probably being a bit more helpful. But I think we have heard a reasonable amount of answer.
Mr Speaker, there is 300,000 hectares on the Coromandel Peninsula. 3.7% of the protected land, some 2,500 hectares, is proposed for removal from Schedule 4. I'm sure that Kiwi populations live throughout that 300,000 hectares and not exclusively in small parts of that 2,500 hectares. But if the member knows better, the member should send in a submission for consideration.
Question number 10, the Honourable Marion Street.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.